thought we had a connection.
Okay. How old am I? What are my hobbies? What's my name? Sorry, maybe that one's too hard.
Welcome to your weekly ticket. We start off with the news that there is a new Star Wars movie in the works. Michael Waldron, who wrote the upcoming Doctor Strange Into the Multiverse of Madness, will pen the script for a new Star Wars film that's being developed and produced by Marvel chief Kevin Feige. According to Deadline, this is just one part of the recent deal Waldron signed with the studio that suggests a long-term relationship with Disney and its live-action divisions. Unfortunately, no word yet on when production for the film will begin or what the story will focus on. It looks like Tiffany Haddish is venturing into sci-fi territory for her next film. Thoroughbreds and Bad Education director Corey Finley will write and direct the film. Haddish will star in an adaptation of the novel Landscape with Invisible Hand, which follows an invasion of Earth by aliens who then become obsessed with a teenage couple's dating life. As of now, MGM plans to release the film theatrically across the country, but there's no word yet on the exact release date. Jessie Buckley, star of Fargo, and James Bond actor Roy Kinnear have been cast in the next film from Ex Machina director Alex Garland. The project is titled Men and is about a young woman's vacation to the English countryside following the death of her husband. A24, which distributed Garland's Ex Machina, will also distribute this film. In honor of News of the World being available to watch at home starting on Friday, we're taking a look at some of the best of the West films worth checking out. And here to break it all down is culture critic at the week, Jeva Lange. Jeva, what is your favorite classic Western?
That is a very easy question because it's also one of my favorite movies ever made. I'm going to have to go with The Searchers by John Ford. It's a 1956 film shot in Technicolor VistaVision. Most of it was shot in Monument Valley. So it is just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. It stars Natalie Wood, Jeffrey Hunter, Ward Bond, who's one of the great Western character actors, and of course, John Wayne. This was one of the 14 films John Wayne made with John Ford. And part of why this film is so fantastic, it is in conversation with the myth of the American West as it was established and created by other Westerns and also by other John Ford films. So it really presses and pushes the classical form to its breaking point. John Wayne is ostensibly the hero, but I think anybody who watches this film would be appalled by his behavior. He is obsessive, he is a maniac, has this Ahab-like quest to find his niece, who he intends to kill because she has been living with Native Americans. So very strange, deranged hero that we're supposed to root for, or perhaps not. And it's gorgeously composed. It's very intentional. It begins with this famous shot out the door into the west at Monument Valley, and it closes with the same frame. One time John Ford is coming, the last time he's leaving. So kind of bringing up these themes of the values that the Old West held maybe don't have resonance or importance to future generations. I think it's a film where if you're somebody who is like, oh, Westerns aren't those movies where white people are killing Native Americans, like The Searchers is very aware of that and is working against it intentionally and kind of pointing the way towards like the films of Sam Peckinpah that would come in the next decade, the revisionist Westerns that would confront those unfortunate themes that are in a lot of early Westerns.
That's very interesting that your favorite is basically kind of a critique on Westerns. If someone was looking for a modern Western to get into and they don't usually watch Westerns, what would you recommend?
I would actually pick that question apart a little bit. So I think my question to somebody would be, why do you not watch Westerns? So perhaps the reason is that you're just not familiar with them, you haven't encountered them a whole lot, you don't watch TCM obsessively, in which case I'd say start with something like True Grit or the new 3:10 to Yuma. Both of these are remakes of older films. So if you're looking for the like rip-roaring, like introduction to the genre, this is going to show you what Westerns are all about in the vocabulary of older Westerns. If you're not watching Westerns for maybe ideological reasons, or it's not a style that particularly attracts you, I would point you to films like First Cow or The Rider. Both of these films are made by women. Neither of them is working in a traditionally Western vocabulary. And they're a lot slower films, but both real gems that are in conversation with Westerns that came before them. So if you're completely unfamiliar with Westerns, these are the first Westerns you've ever watched, I would recommend going back and also watching older Westerns once you're finished with them, because I think it will bring more like insight and perspective into what those films are trying to grapple with.
Now, people can see Tom Hanks in his very first Western, if you don't count Toy Story, at home this week in News of the World. Who's another actor that you would love to see take a stab at being in a Western?
Oscar Isaac has the face for it. I could see him doing something. I also really love the idea of like a Margot Robbie, like stagecoach robber, like do the Old West outlaw thing with her. You know, maybe somebody classic like Belle Starr or Calamity Jane or some character like that. I know I'm giving you so many answers, but there's so many people I want to do Westerns. There's so many great Indigenous actresses as well. Neva Nielsen, she plays Lady Silence in The Terror. She's fantastic, needs more work. She would be a great lead in a movie one day.
How do you think you'd like to see the genre evolve? And do you think the stories of the Old West actually hold value to like modern audiences?
Yeah, great question. So Westerns kind of have this reputation of being like dad movies, but modern Westerns are doing such interesting things with the genre, like really pushing back on things that were established by the classic films. So like, I think of movies like Brokeback Mountain, which kind of like overturns the idea of the West as like an extremely heteronormative space, or Wind River, which deals with how decades of genocide and oppression created the missing and murdered Indigenous women crisis we're having today. First Cow, which replaces Chinese immigrants back in the West, frequently absent from Westerns. Even films like The Revenant. I'm not going to go as far as to call it an eco-Western, but Leonardo DiCaprio's character, he plays a frontiersman, is kind of at war with the landscape itself in a way that's really interesting, because there's the whole idea of Westerns as being like man conquering the West or taking over the West. And in this one, the land fights back a little bit. So I could also see Westerns going in a direction that has something really relevant in terms of climate change or environmental protection in the future as well, as the genre continues to develop and deal with those modern themes.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I got a lot of untapped stuff in there, I guess.
Yeah, well, I think
Great.
all Westerns are kind of about telling ourselves myths about ourselves. And so the best Westerns are the films that interrogate that and ask, is there a dark side to what the stories are that we're telling ourselves about ourselves?
Well, thank you so much, Jeva, for coming on the show and giving us a different perspective for Westerns. Where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter at JEE_VUH, and at The Week is where my writing is.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on. I wish I could tip my hat to you, but you get the idea.
Happy trails.
Happy trails. Available to watch at home Friday is Promising Young Woman.
You remember the accusations made against Alexander Monroe?
I don't.
He took a girl back to his room.
You know, we get accusations like this all the time.
Everyone said Cassie was a promising young woman until a mysterious event abruptly derailed her future. But nothing in Cassie's life is what it appears to be. She's wickedly smart, cunning, and she's living a secret double life by night. Now an unexpected encounter is about to give Cassie a chance to right the wrongs of the past in this thrilling and wildly entertaining story. The film is written and directed by Emerald Fennell and stars Carey Mulligan, Laverne Cox, and Bo Burnham. And available to watch at home today is Horizon Line.
He's having a heart attack. It's okay, it's okay.
Former couple Sarah and Jackson board a single-engine plane for a routine and casual flight to their friend's tropical island wedding. However, within minutes after takeoff, their pilot suffers a fatal heart attack, leaving them with no idea where they are and no clue how to land the plane. With nothing but miles of ocean and sky in every direction and a terrifying storm that's about to envelop them, Sarah and Jackson have only one shot and there's no going back. All right, well, that's it for today, but leave us a comment and let us know what is your favorite Western. I'm Khail, and I'll see you next time.